That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
No tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Fairly alarmed here.
Welcome to MOTN Random Select. This is Masters of the Nerdiverse presents Random Select, where we choose combatants within popular culture and pit them head to head in a draft-like fashion until only one can be left the victor. I am, of course, your international man of history, Mike G. And back with me is my also host, the Celestial Winter Trash Monk III.
Howdy.
And the colossal raging Cajun apostle himself, Brian.
Hey everyone, how are you?
Wow, that was professional as hell, my man. You had an interview earlier or something? Like, why are you so staunch? Right?
You're watching the chew.
You were watching.
It's all good, man. You know, I'm just checking in, seeing how everybody's doing, keeping you on your toes.
Yeah, I take it, man. Okay, we're gonna start calling you the ambassador.
He's checking in.
He's checking in. He's checking out. You know what we checked out? We checked out a whole bunch of comedies, dude. This is what we're checking out. For this Random Select, our annual Random Select. For this year, we've chosen comedies. So we're going to be pitting 8 comedies against each other to see which is the best comedy of these randomly chosen films that we randomly generated. So, are you ready, guys? Ready to kick the tires and light the fires on this draft?
Yes, I am.
Let's get the ball. Yeah, let's battle.
Let's battle on the plains of Megabots.
Fight.
We're talking about 1984's Ghostbusters, ultimate classic extraordinaire. And we're talking about another classic of its time, 1997's Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. Oh, behave. 2 strangely quotable films that I would never really put together. But here we are, this peanut butter and jelly of a battle. Winter, what's your history with, let's say, Austin Powers? What's your history with this movie?
Oh, so I don't think I watched Austin Powers, the first one, until Goldmember came out. And then
really?
It was like, there's like 2 other Austin Powers films.
Wow.
And then what would happen I believe it was TBS or TNT would show them constantly. Or like, they would show them back to back, and I would just spend like a Sunday evening, like my parents would be out, and I would just watch edited versions of Austin Powers. Yeah,
for real. Man, yeah, TBS really liked showing these movies over and over, didn't they? At a certain time, right? Like in the 2000s.
Ted Turner likes his comedies. What can I say?
Ted Turner. You ever watch that Robot Chicken where Ted Turner turned into Captain Planet? And was kicking people out of like 10-story windows.
Yes.
No. Very good. Very good stuff. Watch it.
Interesting.
Ted Turner paints himself green and blue and starts kicking out executives out of like the TBS tower because they're not saving the air.
We need Captain Planet back. I think that's overdue for a revisit.
I have a feeling that due to current events, Captain Planet is back and he's doing what he needs to do.
Okay.
I want to see like a darker version of Captain Planet.
Winter, the joke was we're living it.
No matter how
Captain
much
Planet, he's out there somewhere in Tulsa.
Rises.
You hear birds are chirping, dogs are barking. Brian, what's your history with Austin Powers as a franchise, dude?
There isn't any history. I mean, you're talking like drunken nights watching this movie and, not really enjoying it because, as I said, humor isn't my thing. And quotable, yes.
Very quotable.
No.
Here's the Russian judge over here, man. No.
That's my history with it. I was, when this whole era was taking place, I was out of it, and that was a voluntarily out. Not that I disrespect the genius that is Mike Myers, because he is genius, but no.
Oh, man. Jeez, I'm the only one. Okay, let's do it. 1997, very good year. I was a super kid running around at top speeds listening to Wu-Tang Clan. And I was a huge, like Brian said, I'm a huge Mike Myers Mark, rather. I loved Wayne's World, loved Wayne's World 2, loved, so he married an axe murderer. You know what I mean? I was really into Mike Myers, and I really didn't know what to do with this movie when I first saw it. It was so weird and different and just overly garish, you know, on its surface level. So I dug it. I remember this is one of the first DVDs I bought, you know, back when Tower Records. Yeah, this was up there.
Really?
The first 3 DVDs I ever bought in my life was Fast and Furious 1, this, International Man of Mystery, and Resident Evil, which is funny.
Can you remember the 3 DVDs you bought, Brian?
Absolutely not. Not even close.
No, because I remember that day like it was yesterday, and it sticks out in my mind. And I was like, I got DVDs. This is the future. It was yesterday. I was at a bargain bin. I was rummaging through so much trash because everything's quarantined. Anyway, so let's talk about Austin Powers for a second. Let's talk about the International Man of Mystery and kind of. Does this movie predate The Nutty Professor with the actor playing multiple roles? But no, because Eddie Murphy did that back in Coming to America, and that was in the 80s.
And then Peter Sellers did in the 70s and 60s.
With like the Pink Panther?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But technically, Professor was 96. This was 97, if that's
nice.
what you're asking.
Fair enough. Yeah. So it was interesting to see Mike Myers kind of take the role of the villain and the hero. And juxtaposing kind of acting methods, because you know Austin Powers is this bumbling, almost Pink Panther-esque idiot, right? He's a bumbling, goofy, horny, you know, walking stereotype, and whereas Dr. Evil is more of like a caricature of, let's say, your classic Bond villain, your Dr. No, your Blofelds, right?
Right.
Winter, who would you say is your favorite character in Austin Powers International Man of Mystery? If you had to pick one.
I really like Seth Green's character.
God, young Seth Green. So good, man.
Yes.
So good.
Get away from me, you lazy-eyed psycho.
I smiled as soon as I saw him. I was like, this is great.
Dude, can we talk about how star-studded this movie is, like low-key?
Robin,
like deadass, you know? There's a lot of people in this movie.
All the comics.
Oh, yeah.
Rogers. Elizabeth Hurley. All huge names. And if you asked Mimi Rogers or Elizabeth Hurley to do this movie today, or Mike Myers, I think they're going to say.
Well, that's super safe. They would all come back. They're not doing nothing.
So this is the interesting point that you're bringing up, because I think that is the $1 million question for Austin Powers. Can Austin Powers survive in 2020?
I think he could. He could, because Austin Powers survived in 1997 when it was a throwback of the old 70s spy movies. You know, the whole point of Austin Powers was he was a man out of time, and that his behavior was unacceptable in the 90s, which would be even more unacceptable now, in which comedy can ensue.
I would definitely watch it, and I think, I think we would watch it. But do you think that there would at least be some kind of like news articles?
Not really. I think,
Let's put it this way: out of all the remakes that we've heard, rumored, and talked about, have we ever heard of an Austin Powers remake? We've talked about, oh God, I wish Myers would come back. But have we ever said, oh God, I really want that fourth Austin Powers?
I've said it. I've actually come up with an idea for a fourth Austin Powers film. That Mike Myers won't return my calls, but
well, he's busy.
Yes.
See, the hush in Hollywood is the fourth Austin Powers movie is the reason why we haven't really seen much from Mike Myers, is because after Cat in the Hat, he fell into a bit of a stump where he's like, man, I'm doing an Eddie Murphy. I'm putting out crap. You know, he's like, and he's been writing a fourth Austin Powers movie since like The Love Guru, and he's just it's just not funny enough. It's just not. My idea sucks. Like
Love Guru.
Yeah, right? We're talking Mike Myers, man. We're talking Mike Myers.
Yeah, so. Dude, I went through the IMDb, but I actually stopped at the Cat in the Hat. That's really funny that you mentioned that, because that's literally where I stopped scrolling, and I was like, no, I'm done.
How the mighty have fallen. So that's the reason why, you know?
You know, our artistic genius, it's artistic genius, man. Like, it comes and flows. It is what it is.
Austin Powers took over the world for a couple of summers. It spawned.
Oh, super power! Oh, yeah. This was my senior year of high school. Like, Austin Powers was a absolute phenomenal thing. And as I was watching it, I was struck by how much I was like, wow, really? Like, this is like all of the catchphrases, even today. Mm-hmm. It's like, man.
Can you do one of the catchphrases for me?
Doesn't matter from who. Doesn't matter what scene.
I was actually going to say, and Mike, you're going to be able to do this more than I can. But for 20 minutes after I got done watching it, I was doing catchphrases, and then after that, they were gone. And I was like, yeah, that seems appropriate.
It's weird because it's kind of the New Jack City syndrome, where I was just doing New Jack City quotes for weeks after watching it. But like you said, I was doing my O behaves the next day, and that was about it. It got out my system real fast, you know, and that's kind of a testament to Austin Powers. Right. It was the most junk food, flash in the pan. I don't know why it was popular, but it was stupid popular.
Good music.
Very good music.
The music was, man, that was, as I watched, I was wondering if the music is what carries the entire freaking film. Like, the music is fun. Like, you know, every song, it's good. It's good. That's what I'll give it. It's good.
Now, I have a question for you guys, another one. Austin Powers is definitely like, it's spoofing 60s British or Mod Squad style like spy films. And do you think a knowledge of those type of things would have like improves your viewing of the movie? Or do you think we could have some like someone in high school grab them when they're leaving school, put them in the van, and then sit him right in front of a screen, strapped down, watching Austin Powers.
And as we go through this, and, you know, I don't like to laugh, so I'm not always the go-to comedian guy, but I'm like, well, would this hold up? And honestly, you put it on a freaking British pub, something to that nature, you're having a couple of drinks with friends, you're going to have a good time watching the movie. You know what I mean? But as far as comedic genius goes, how much I genuinely laughed, put a smile on my face,
And you know, my 2 cents about that, Winner, is it's all about the skill of the director and the skill of the screenplay. You know, I didn't know anything about, you know, Lord of the Rings. I wasn't a big Lord of the Rings kid. I was the opposite end of the spectrum. I was a Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe kid. But after watching Fellowship of the King, I was down. Yeah.
You didn't know anything about Lord of the Rings?
Not really. Everyone was reading Lord of the Rings. I was reading Silence of the Lambs.
That's also awesome.
Just how it went. But yeah, to answer your question, if the director is skillful enough, you don't need to know anything about the genre. You don't need anything to know about the time frame. You don't have any kind of nostalgia for it. They paint a good enough picture. You just get it, right? You can just, this is how the 70s were. This is what my dad's told me like 3 times. And then you'll laugh because the jokes are funny, right? So I think we kind of
this way. Mm-hmm. I know that we threw out American Pie. I know the humor was not nearly as crude as what that was going to bring. To your question, who would I sit this movie down in front of? I could sit this movie down in front of my parents.
Yep.
Yeah.
But could I sit something like American Pie down in front of my parents? Nor would I want to. You know what I mean?
That's an awkward watch.
Yeah, that's a good distinction to make right there. Yeah, the raunchy comedy.
The raunchy comedy has its place, you know?
Yeah.
Mike Myers is good at what he does. That's for sure. That's for sure.
And quick question: is Austin Powers International Man of Mystery a rated R? It's PG-13.
It's PG-13. Okay. There's not a lot of swearing. There's faux nudity, but it's not. They do very good camera tricks to hide the nudity in this movie, which I think it's fun and interesting and very creative. And this is one of those laugh a minute. The script is so tight that there's constantly a gag going on, like Naked Gun, or Airplane. There's constantly they don't let you breathe with the yucks. They just keep throwing them at you.
But
they don't all laugh. I'm not saying they all land. I'm just saying they're all there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right. Valid point. Because I'm like, Naked Gun, man. Like,
that's another caliber.
You want to talk about like almost going to the hospital.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
I don't
breathe.
Yeah, you're like Brian and Family. I don't feel so good. You start, your nose starts bleeding, Oh, man. With that, we are now entering MOTN, Masterpiece Theater. You guys ready?
Yeah, I don't
ready
know where this
ever.
just went.
Masterpiece Theater, where we will read an excerpt from Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
There we go.
Here we go. Scene. A sign on the egg reads, cryogenic freezing beginning.
My God, he's freezing himself!
Austin begins firing at the egg chair. The ceiling opens up and the egg rises through the opening. Everything begins to rumble. Rocket exhaust pours out the ceiling. Exterior roof night. The big boy rocket begins to lift off. Exterior club sidewalk night. People outside the club react to the rocket. Exterior Earth from space. The Bob's big boy rocket leaves the atmosphere. Mr. Bigglesworth is pressed to the window like one of those stuffed Garfields. Dr. Evil. Voice over, shivering.
I'll be back, Mr. Powers, when free love is dead and greed and avarice once again rule the world.
Exterior NORAD, Colorado Springs, Colorado. Graphic 1997 NORAD. Colorado Springs, this scene is shot in the multiple split screen style, like a Thomas Crown affair. Full screen! Interior NORAD, tracking room. A blip on the radar appears. Radar operator on phone. Winter?
I'm Commander Gilmore.
It says, Commander Gilmore? Split screen 2. Interior Commander Gilmore's office. Commander Gilmore, a distinguished man in his 50s. Radar operator. On phone. Commander, this is the Slater in So West. They enter. Dr. Evil climbs into the egg chair. Austin, the chair. Austin. Who's Austin?
Hold on. You skipped something.
I skipped nothing.
Yeah. It goes.
Austin.
So, there's no Austin in here. It's Commander Gilmore with radar operator. You go page 10 to page 11.
Someone read something. Someone just read something. I'm exploding right now.
Okay. Radar operator. Commander, this is Slater in Southwest Com 3. We have a potential bogey with an erratic vector and an unorthodox entry angle.
Commander Gilmore.
Is it one of ours? No. Locke Holmberg 12 says it's Metalurg, Recon, Analysis. Is it a standard alloy? Not stealthy. Not carbon composite. It does have an odd shape, sir.
What are you saying, son?
It appears to be in the shape of Bob's big boy, sir?
Insane.
Scene.
Hey. Hey, man, I don't know what happened, but
Yeah,
hey,
I don't
look,
know.
I don't know what happened.
I've seen worse.
I don't know what happened.
On the stage. It's fine. Anyway, I didn't
Anyway.
even movie.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
and scene.
And on that note, we're moving to a movie we hope you've seen, since it came out in 1984. Ghostbusters, directed by Ivan Reitman. 3 former parapsychology professors set up shop as unique ghost removal service. Ghostbusters, man. What more can be said that already hasn't been said? Probably a future MOTN reviews, because I love this movie so
Lewis
much.
Make money for every Ghostbusters.
Because I could talk about this movie for an entire... I could make a podcast just on Ghostbusters. Just this one movie.
Mike, you and I were on the same track, because as I was like, I don't know, 10 minutes in, I was like, are we going to be reviewing this? Because I can talk about this for quite some time.
I'm hoping this goes far in the draft so I can talk about it more. But
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens for the sake of the hashtag hard cuts. Winter, what is your history with Ghostbusters?
So Ghostbusters is an interesting one where I remember having a VHS tape of it and watching it at a friend's house. And then I bought, there was like a green ectoplasm, like hardcover DVD collection of both Ghostbusters 1 and 2. And I think I had a couple of episodes of the cartoon. The animated series, sorry.
Yes, the real Ghostbusters, one of the best cartoons of all time.
Yeah, and they came with stickers too, and it was pretty cool.
Yep.
It was like you also had like a miniature version of the script, and that got me started on like reading scripts and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, dude.
No, not what I thought of. Oh yeah, the real Ghostbusters cartoon.
There's weirdly 2 Ghostbusters cartoons.
Right.
There's the original one.
One has a giant ape in it.
Yep. That's the one we don't talk about. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
That one's good in its own right. Brian, what's your history with this movie, man?
Ghostbusters, like 1980s, watching it with my mom when I ran of like center like television, man. Ghostbusters, what are you gonna do? Ghostbusters.
There's something strange.
All day, every day.
1,000 Years Ghostbusters.
I can't even tell you. I tried to watch this movie with the most critical of eyes, trying to give it the same due process I gave Austin Powers. And I was like, you know what? Fair enough. I'm going to take my nostalgic feelings out of it, and I'm going to watch this movie. This is still a really damn good movie.
It's tight. It's a tight movie.
It's so
dude.
tight.
It's a tight movie.
So tight. Ivan Reitman directed.
Yeah.
Reitman. Absolutely fantastic. So tight, so good. And what I most liked about it, with the pacing of it, is right when it started to go stale, they would literally flip the switch on you, and that would be a major moment in the film. And you'd be like, oh, now I'm interested again. And you're like, oh. And it just kind of kept you on that hook.
Right.
So,
this is really, and I never really, and as you mentioned, I never really thought of it this way, but this is really this has a From Dusk Till Dawn kind of movies flip, where it starts as one movie, but right when, like you said, right when it starts to kind of, that blade starts to dull, ghosts. And it shows you like, no, this is for like, this isn't, like tricks of the eye and are they real? No, these are flat out ghosts with special effects. And
like, this is 1984. Like, ghost starts coming at you and you're like, wait, there's a lot of ghosts. There's not just one ghost. There's ghosts everywhere.
Can I say that the graphics still hold up?
Dude.
The graphics still hold up to this day.
For sure.
I could show this to like a 10-year-old and they'll be locked. Okay, Ghostbusters, everything.
I was also wondering, audience, could you watch this today? Like a 12-year-old, I don't want to watch that. That's old.
Right.
I think if you just put this on at a birthday party, at a birthday party full of 10-year-olds, one is going to sit down and watch it, and one is going to get hooked. You know, it's that kind of movie. Out of 10 kids running around doing kid stuff, one's going to sit down and just be like, okay, this is my genre now, comedy, horror, science fiction.
I know we just passed the 30th anniversary, and I happened to be out on the road that day, driving past the Sony studio, and they had a Ghostbusters 30th anniversary filming of the film.
Yeah,
one was dressed up as Ghostbusters, and there had to be 300-400 Ghostbusters just walking the street, man. It was absolutely epic. And there was one dude outside of Stony dressed in a Ghostbusters, and he's like, I want to bust Ghost or something like that, and he's just holding it out in front of Sony. It was so good.
Bustin' makes me feel good.
So something I wonder about is that during this time, do you have are there ghost movies coming out that start off with professors in a school?
No.
Or what I'm trying to get at is that how much did Dan Aykroyd use his knowledge?
We can do a whole podcast on the madness of Dan Aykroyd.
Right?
If that's where you're going.
I'm trying to frame the question so it doesn't take a whole 30 minutes to go into. But it is interesting to me, other ghost movies at the time would be oh, it's a ghost! Ah! And Ghostbusters is it's professors going in, and it's
nothing was like this at the time. In regards to the approach of ghosts, because you had Poltergeist around this time. You had
I was just looking
haunted
at the
house
schedule.
Movies. Yeah,
Nightmare on Elm Street came out before, and I'm just going to take a quick look at 83 and 82 because it really would have had to been based on something. You know what I mean? You would have had to seen it, and I mean when Nightmare on Elm Street came out, that's horror. You know what? That was the start of an entire new thing. So
I put Ghostbusters in the same thought palace as Alien, where it's you take this known tired trope and you turn it on its head by making it real. Not necessarily real, but real in the sense that it's grounded. You know, Alien is about these truckers that go through space that have the most crappiest job in the galaxy, and they encounter something they've never seen before. Where Ghostbusters are about these down and out professors. Where ghosts didn't exist on paper. You know, it's not like there was a history of ghosts just going through history and this is a thing. No, they're the first men ever.
Lucky.
They struck lightning.
Right? I'm you put up your house based on you're gonna find ghosts?
Real life ghosts, dude.
Are you crazy?
The little things about this movie. Yeah. So there's nothing like it.
Looking at it as an adult because you look at it that way. You're would I mortgage my house
on this dream?
Not even dream. Think about how many ghost TV shows there are now.
I was going to ask that.
They all have to be based on Ghostbusters.
They're all birthed from Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. You know what I mean? You don't just. Oh, I'm gonna find ghosts for a living. This will be fruitful,
dude. And I gotta tell you, when I was a kid, I was a big poster kid. I used to love posters, right? Movie posters would drive me crazy. You go to the local theater, and Batman's coming out, right? And it's this huge bat signal with no words, right? And you're just oh my god, that's the coolest thing ever, right? Alien, not go back to Alien. And when I saw the poster for Ghostbusters, it was the iconic black, red, and white poster with the ghost in the middle. My jaw dropped. I was I don't know what this is, but it's going to be super cool.
I'm really glad you brought up that image. Again,
iconic image.
These are some of the things that, I guess you didn't have an appreciation for when you were younger. But when I was scrolling through finding the movie and I saw that image, I stopped and I looked and I'm dude, that's so cool. That's such a cool image, and you've never seen anything else like it.
Nope.
I also want to say, Mike, you're a horror guy.
Yep.
You tell me, have you ever seen eggs fry on another, countertop?
Nope, that's a cool trick. The closest thing we got is in Poltergeist, where the steak starts to hemorrhage. and starts to, like these cancerous cells like burst out of the steak on the counter.
I got you. Yep,
and
I remember.
And it's a neat trick because what it is that counter is actually a hot plate, and they only heat up a section of it. And when you run it and you wait for it to heat up, you say action, and then 10 seconds after you say action, the eggs will just start popping. So that's a neat little camera trick.
Cool. Yeah, I loved it, and I was like, man, I've never seen that anywhere else before. That's super cool.
This movie is so cool, and I love the characters. I love Ray. I love how much of asshole Venkman is. He's unapologetic. One thing I do like about this movie, and I guess we'll get into this when we're doing verses. And you know what? I'll actually hold that idea until we start doing our comparisons, because it's more of a comparison to Austin Powers than a critique on Ghostbusters. But
and can we talk a little bit how it seems like with Ghostbusters, it's one of those films that people try to go like make a sequel of.
It's impossible.
And it just doesn't seem to fit.
I haven't seen them. I don't know.
Ghostbusters 2 is not bad, but it's not nearly my favorite.
Well, once you start going the route of like a weird Statue of Liberty moving around.
I can't speak for the new ones. Ghostbusters 2 I saw, and I actually, as soon as Ghostbusters 1 ended, I finished watching it earlier this afternoon. I was like, man, I really need to finish watching part 2 now, because I need to complete this whole thing, because part 2 is also good. But I have not seen the new ones.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of the second one?
I'm fine with the second one. I get the flaws, but as far as the Ghostbuster movie goes, they're busting freaking ghosts, man. What do you want? You want some laughter, some ectoplasm, some slime, and a cool story. And you know what? 1980s, we're pulling this off. This story?
It's lightning in a bottle, man. You have the perfect director. You have the perfect cast. No one else could be cast in this movie. To be damned. This movie can never be remade.
I do think they're going the right route with this
Ghostbusters Afterlife
coming out.
What happened to that? They showed one trailer and that bad boy disappeared. That's in a Disney vault somewhere, dog.
Well,
I don't know where that movie is.
They're still working on it. It's like it wasn't supposed to come out till like 2 years from when that trailer came out.
Jeez, man.
After watching this first one and knowing about the second one and not having seen the last ones, I don't necessarily need a reboot of these characters.
Not at all.
Because we are not going to get the genius of these characters. Like, talking about Mike Myers. You know what I mean? There's Mike Myers and then there's Cat in the Hat.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't need to see Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray and rest in peace, Harold. You were awesome. I don't need to see them trot out and like try and hit their timing.
No, man. That's what I'm saying. This movie is lightning in a bottle. It's Indiana Jones, dude. It's A New Hope, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where it's like the timing of it is so impeccable and it's so subtle. This is a very subtle movie. The yucks aren't strong, but they're strong. They're not forced. But they're so strong because Bill Murray is killing it and Dan Aykroyd's killing it. Harold Ramis is killing it. Winston Sedmore, dude. Ernie Hudson as Winston. Yep. One representation. You know, it's cool to see a black man on a movie poster in the 80s and 90s. Standing up with everybody else.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we can do MOTN reviews Ghostbusters. I want to keep going, but at the exact same time, it's like, you know.
We got to hold this. I know we could talk about this forever. And you're right. Let's not let this go too long. So with this, we're going to enter into MOTN Masterpiece Theater.
Yes.
And I'm
Can we describe the cast?
Yes, I'm going to set up the scene, and then I'll let my actors take it away.
Well, I'll be playing Stance. Brian will be playing Venkman, and Mike G will be, like you said, narrating. And I think you should.
I'll be the co-ed.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Let's do it, guys. Suddenly the door opens and Ray Stance enters. Stance. He's Venkman's colleague and best friend, a hard-working scientist with a good academic background. Stance is a maverick who generally loves a challenge. At the moment, he seems really keyed up.
Drop everything, Venkman. We got one.
Excuse me for a minute. Ray, I'm right in the middle of something here. Can you come back in an hour?
Peter, at 1:40 this afternoon at the main branch of the New York Public Library on 5th Avenue, 10 people witnessed a free-roaming, vaporous, full-torso apparition. It blew books from shelves at 20 feet away, scared the socks of some poor librarian.
Sure, Ray. That's great. Ray, I think you should get down there right away, check it out, and let me know what happens.
No, this one is for real, Peter. Spangler went down there and took some PKE readings right off the top of the scale. Buried the needle. We're close this time. I can feel it.
Okay, just give me a second here. I have to leave now, but if you come back, if you got some time, I'd like to have you come back this evening and do some more work with me.
8 o'clock.
I was just going to say 8. You're fantastic.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Scene.
All right, that was better.
Smoother, better, closer, warmer. You know what, guys? We've hit the part of this episode where blood's got to get shed, man. Blood's got to get shed. Hashtag hard cuts. It's time to pit these two movies together, and we're going to have to make our choice. Who wins out of this bloody kumite? Brian, who you got? Why?
It's the better made film. Done. End of story. And I smiled, I laughed, I enjoyed it. I'd watch it again right now. If you paid me to watch Austin Powers, I don't want to do it.
Well, wouldn't you say there's more iconic characters in Austin Powers than there are in Ghostbusters?
I would say, as far as a comedy movie goes, better film. I would say that there's iconic characters in Austin Powers and there's iconic phrases in Austin Powers, but are they funny?
Man, would you say that the Austin Powers franchise was critically better received than the Ghostbusters franchise as it stands now?
I am going to say that Austin Powers franchise has a humor that fits some people and probably doesn't fit a lot of people. Comedy is very, very subjective. And out of all the films that we've watched and topics that we talk about, this is probably going to be the most subjective of all of them. And so, does not hit the mark. But I watched it. It's fine. Whatever. It's cool.
Whatever.
It's like a warm blanket and some milk and like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And man, this is great. Yeah, I don't get that from Austin Powers.
Fair enough. Winter, who you got in this fight?
Yeah, so you have two pieces of American comedic film that are integral to the timeline of American
to the
comedy, to the American film timeline, zeitgeist. Yes, but if we're going to ask or answer the question, which of these two are the one that you would prefer, or like the one that needs to move up in the next round, it has to be hands down Ghostbusters, because Austin Powers, although it is a comedy film that people can go back to several times, it still is a product of its era, which is like a blue comedy from the 90s. While Ghostbusters, it has transcended the 80s or where it has come from and has now become an integral part of like your like people's parents going, let's watch a movie from my childhood, like, have you heard of Ghostbusters? And so that's some thoughts I have.
Just to piggyback off what you're saying there, and I want to, because when this movie first came up, I was like, really? Comedy? Because it screams action, right? You know what I mean? Stay Puft freaking Marshmallow Man, dude.
Captain Stay Puft, huh?
Funny, man. And I also went, do they still make Stay Puffs?
No. Yes? Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
We can get some? Yeah.
Yes.
MOTN Stay Puffs. Yeah.
MOTN.
One food review. Cool.
Dude, so you're making s'mores? Is that what we're talking about?
Hey, let's do it.
With some Ecto Cooler,
we can all
dude?
get back together.
But
Winter, get us some Ecto Cooler.
No, but I believe Brian was making the point earlier about the subtlety of the comedy, right? Or both Mike and Brian were making this point that like take the scene where they're in the elevator and they like flick the switch and they just kind of like step back a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, well, and
then there's actually a great YouTube video that talks about like the subtlety of this Ghostbusters versus a particular other Ghostbusters that won't be named. And how the subtlety is kind of removed from the film, and then what you get is fart jokes.
That's kind of what that's kind of what I'm afraid of that we're going to get from Afterlife is just not necessarily fart jokes. I'm sure it'll be tasteful. Like I think of fart jokes. Like for me, Austin Powers is like right on the line, and I'm not a joke fan. All right, it's right on the line, but it's still like classy and fun enough to where it's like, it's fine, whatever. You're just having a good time. But like Ghostbusters, man, like I don't want to see 2020 humor. Or you know what I mean? Like I don't know how to explain it.
No, and I totally agree. Like, and just to give my 2 cents on this, yes, Ghostbusters is a unanimous decision. It's sad that Austin Powers has to be put up against this kind of movie because I rewatched Austin Powers yesterday and I generally had a good time with it. It's a fun, goofy, turn your brain off comedy, but this is Ghostbusters, man. Like, it's too integral to comedy in itself, and it's too good. It's just too, I hate using the word, it's just too tight. It's too manicured. You know what I mean? It's perfectly funny. And one thing I wanted to say, and I kind of held my tongue a bit, is that Austin Powers doesn't take itself seriously at all. It's a big goof. The whole movie's a giant goof. And you have to buy into that idea before, price of admission, right? But the beauty about Ghostbusters is it takes itself completely seriously, but at the same time, it doesn't take itself seriously at all. And I love that. Not a lot of movies walk that line where nothing is forced. Egon is the driest character in the world, but has some of my favorite lines in the world. Hey, Egon, you like to read? Prince is dead. It's like, what? Who says that, right? So, like,
I'm always serious. Like, I've been saying that
the driest way
all my life.
Prince is dead.
Prince is dead. Our reactor was doing fine until Dickless turned it off. He was pretty much, they caused the explosion. He was like, is that true? He's like, yeah, it's true. This man has no dick. Good, perfect delivery.
So good, man. So good. And even in the jail scene, when he's explaining all of it about the hoodlums and like the worst of the worst, and he like realizes he's like, I'm in prison.
Whoa. He was like, somebody's coming. Somebody's coming. So,
such a good scene.
So to bring this to a close, it's Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is making it to the next round. Pour one out for Austin Powers. He does have a service that he can render, but it was never in my brain. It was never a fight, sadly, because I love Ghostbusters so much, and not to knock Austin Powers too much. I do enjoy the film. I do think it's funny on some levels, and I can buy into it. But it just got a fair shake, man. It was pretty much the Globetrotters versus the Generals in this particular situation, in my head, just because Ghostbusters means so much to me and my upbringing. Whereas Austin Powers was a moment in time that I appreciate, but it's just not as sharp as a movie. It's not as tight. And honestly, I don't think it stands up like Ghostbusters stand up. Ghostbusters 1, the original film.
I can't believe how old that film is. It was like 84.
40
years old.
Yeah. And it still stands up. I will put this movie in front of a child, and I think they would get a kick out of it.
Slimer for sure.
Slimer for sure. Stay Puft for sure. It'll spark their little brain like it sparked ours. You know what I mean? So good stuff, man.
What's up next on the docket?
That's a very good question, my man. So Next on our docket for Random Selects is Beverly Hills Cop versus Office Space. That's going to be interesting to throw together.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy versus Mike Judge, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm very stoked to hear another awesome soundtrack.
And you're going to get that from Bill.
80s soundtrack.
And what's funny enough, you're going to get that from both movies.
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't seen Office Space.
Yeah,
but I used to own that Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack, and I made that thing on Spotify right now. I was like, oh, that's really good.
You know, it's one of those movies, like Beverly Hills Cop falls in the same brain space as like 48 Hours with Nick Nolte. So I always blend those movies together in my head. So I'm really excited to watch Beverly Hills Cop again. I haven't seen that since I was a kid, dude. The first one.
I have the same question: action or comedy?
Well,
I don't know.
You're gonna have to listen to find out, aren't you? Yeah, man. Good stuff. So where can we find you, Brian?
You can find me over at Wash's Shop on eBay and Brian J. Wash on Twitter.
Perfect. Where can we find you, Winner?
You can find me on all your favorite social media apps, but not TikTok. Trash Monk the Third, Trash Monk III, folks.
The most calmest of IIIs, the sophisticated III for a sophisticated culture.
Trash Monk III.
And if you like this content and want to listen up for the next installment of Random Select, please join us on Twitter, which is at mnerdiverse, where we're going to be taking this question to you, the Nerdiverse. And when this episode launches, we're going to ask our Nerdiverse via a poll, which is the better movie for you, Ghostbusters or Austin Powers? And you'll let us know if we chose the right movie tonight. If you want to support us monetarily, you can always do so via our Patreon, which is patreon.com/MOTN. But you can always support us non-monetarily by liking our content, by subscribing to our channels, and by commenting on our posts, because we got to know how we're doing. Just anything you don't like, anything you love, feedback's important. I want to thank Brian. I want to thank Winter for taking this annual walk down memory lane with these great movies. Thank you, fellas.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being a friend. And with that, we'll ask you to tune in next time for MOTN Random Select. I'll always ask you to look towards the skies. Look towards the skis.